So, how to be successful dealing with different business cultures. During this meeting, we are going to look a little bit at culture and language. We're also going to see some do's and don'ts in cross-cultural environment. A few tips on how to do business in the UK and on the other side of the ocean in the USA, and if time allows, I would like you to meet some of our English false friends. Alright, so shall we move on? When I was browsing through different definitions of culture, I found one which seemed to me very simple, very accurate, and kind of funny, because it says that culture is nothing else but the way we do things around here, which is fine, but what happens if we start doing things around there, in another environment, in another surrounding? How to avoid mistakes in language and behavior to, for example, complete successful business. So let's start with some language input. Few culture idioms or even expressions, and in this bit I would like to ask you to participate actively in this part of our meeting. To read between the lines, an expression which is very close to what we use in Polish. Any ideas what do we mean if we say that we read between the lines? What is the meaning? If you know, if you guess, and this is kind of easy guess, because as I said, we've got a similar expression in Polish, can you write in the chat box? Yes, yeah, I can see quite a lot of answers, yeah. It's exactly to read extra meaning, to find out hidden agenda. So thank you, Agnieszka, Anya, Wanda, Maria, a lot of answers. And we can put that in the context, like here, you can see on the screen, it's only reading between the lines, but I guess they want bigger discount. Very important with reference to what we are going to say later on about British culture. A very similar expression is lost in translation. As some of you may remember, there was even a film under the same title, very close meaning, slightly different. What do we mean if we say, oh God, that was lost in translation? Again, if you guess, if you know, could you write down in the chat box? Lost in translation. Yes, Agnieszka, exactly. When you lose very important, seemingly small part of the message because somebody translated it in the wrong way. So it's not only the knowledge of words, but also the knowledge of cultural aspects. Like in the example, the crucial aspect of this deal was totally lost in translation. A culture shock. When and where can we experience this thrilling feeling like culture shock? We Europeans, culture shock, what does it mean? I experienced a real culture shock. Any ideas? That seems to be pretty simple, a nice warm-up. Yes, experience when we are meeting a completely different set of behaviors, procedures, and social norms. I hope that our meeting with Anglo-Saxon culture today won't be a real culture shock for you, but moving to China can be a real culture shock for most Europeans. Okay, now a real idiom, so a combination of words which change completely their meaning. Culture vulture. A vulture is a kind of animal. Actually, it's a bird, not very nice bird. Maybe you came across this word. Big bird, vulture. Any idea what kind of bird it is? Yes, maybe I will tell you the Polish version. It's sęp. So culture vulture is not a negative expression, not negative idiom, but it's expression to describe a person who is very keen, very eager on cultural events. And for example, like in the example, she can't miss any concert or exhibition. She's a real culture vulture, so she is hungry for cultural events. And the last one, which will kind of lead us to the next part of this presentation, is when in Rome, do as Romans do. What kind of advice is given to us in this idiom, in this expression? What should we do? Of course, doesn't mean we're going to Rome. Yeah, Panda, very well. It means that if you're in some environment, you should follow the rules, you should observe some social behaviors and behave like members of this community. So, well, what can I tell you before relocating to Moscow? When in Rome, do as Romans do. Of course, probably some of us would prefer to be in Rome rather than Moscow, but with no political illusions. All right? Good. So, business. Business is becoming more multicultural. A lot of us work for or with multicultural companies. Therefore, we need to know some cross-cultural issues, and we should be aware of some cross-cultural problems. We are becoming more global and more international. What is specific about English-speaking countries is that they are indirect cultures as opposed to our Polish culture, which is more direct. And as you can see in this funny picture, saying things in the straightforward way brings some kind of revolutionary aspect. You shouldn't say things like this, gentlemen, because in indirect cultures you behave differently. In Poland we can say it's a bad idea because we are direct. In indirect culture you have to say this thing in totally different words. You should say, for example, something like in the example, maybe we should also consider other options. But you're giving here, you're giving wrapped information. Yeah? So inside the sentence, you're suggesting that you don't like the idea, but you shouldn't say it the straightforward way. Well, to sum it up, in direct cultures, you say no. In indirect culture, you say the same, saying yes, but. Okay, some people say that Anglo-Saxon culture is PTQ culture. The first two letters refer to very popular words which are commonly used and sometimes overused in English. What kind of word do you think starts with the letter P? The word that a typical, for example, Englishman says all the time, asking for something. What word starts with the letter P? Yes, thank you. Please. This is the culture of, sorry, of please. So probably they use it much more often than we do. What stands for the letter T then? T as please, and they say very often not only please, but a British gentleman would say thank you, thanks, exactly, 3 times more than we do in Polish. Thank you. Another thing, Q, is not really a word, it's a set of behaviors. Queuing. Maybe it would seem funny for us because we have bad experience with queuing, but especially British culture is about order, about respecting others, about letting people do things in correct order. Okay? Right. So let's look now at some cross-cultural do's and don'ts. The first one would be time. Different approach to time and different aspects of time than we are used to. Can you tell me, is it allowed in Poland to be a little bit late for, let's say, webinar or for the business meeting? Do we allow being late? And if yes, what is our standard time? Yeah, I can see the chat box that you say yes. Yeah, a lot of you say that it's up to 15 minutes. Yeah, thank you, Mariusz, Wanda. Okay, some people say not really. Okay, I think we're somewhere in the middle. We are not on the extreme like Italians or southern countries and cultures when people are allowed up to 1 hour. But we accept something like 15 minutes maximum. Anglo-Saxon English-speaking culture is a task-focused culture, maybe because they are mostly Protestants, and for them time is precious because time is money. How does it translate into practical approach? Well, for example, you cannot expect that somebody will organize a meeting with you without previous arrangements. So you need to have the meeting arranged. You have to schedule it properly because for people from this cultural circle, time is very, very precious. How do we communicate? How do we communicate during business meetings? Yeah. Sorry, just for a second, I can see in the chat box that some of you can't hear me, and I don't know why. Because we haven't changed anything in settings, and we've got the maximum. Yeah, we have the maximum loudness, and our counter is showing that we've got maximum limit of our voice. So, right, may I ask you again, any other problems? Yeah, can you tell me if you're hearing me? Okay, you're saying that now it's better. It's kind of cutting. It depends probably on your internet connection. So some of you say you can hear me well. Some of you say that there are some problems. So I'm sorry to say, but we can't do anything about that. We are recording this meeting, so I'm looking at Anya, and Anya is also confirming that on our side we've done everything we could. Okay, so let's move on. Hopefully everything will be okay in a second. Right, so how can we greet people safely in business environment? Definitely, it's easy to confuse time of the day. Instead of saying good morning, we say good afternoon, or instead of saying good afternoon, we say good morning. So just to avoid this kind of confusion, it's better to say hi or hello and give short, sharp handshake. It's very important not to keep somebody's hand for too long because we can be giving wrong signals, right? Please do not hug, do not kiss anybody, especially ladies on their hands. It's not acceptable in professional contacts, and also in personal contacts. You have to be careful about it. Why? We'll see in a second. Although we shouldn't hug and kiss and jump on each other, we shouldn't be surprised if some people will call us, even strangers, will call us dear, love, or darling. It can be, like a bus driver or taxi driver, but it can be also a partner in negotiations. Believe me, these things can happen. But of course, there is no hidden message. That's the way sometimes they behave. Anglo-Saxon culture is a culture of smile. They are smiling practically all the time, so you can always make up for some breakdowns in communication with pleasant smile. So we said hello, and now when to start calling somebody with the first name. Usually it happens very quickly, more quickly in American culture. Usually after 5 minutes somebody tells you, all right, call me Al, call me John, call me Jimmy. After we introduced ourselves, it's time to start a small talk. What do you think are safe topics in English that we can discuss? Any ideas of a typical topic? Yeah, I can see lots of answers. Weather, definitely. Both in British and American culture, you can start talking about weather. Definitely number one. Yeah, you're suggesting sports, you're suggesting hobbies. Definitely safe ground. Music. Thank you, Sylvia. Very good suggestions. So you can generally talk about entertainment, like music, television, films. Recently we've got Oscars, Gala. So this is a good starting point. Sports, the latest Olympic Games, latest news, although here you have to be careful because latest news very often political, and you can easily move on to the dangerous ground. So latest news to some extent. You can talk about traveling, either private or business. Yeah, you can talk about royal family. Jacek, you're right. But remember that Britain is divided into those who love the British royal family and those who hate them. So you need to find out which group you're talking to. But yeah, you can talk about food, definitely work, and of course family. I put family as the last point because these days sometimes family situation is not clear. People don't want to talk about it. We have different types of families, patchwork families. So probably start with the top ones, and family would come as the last safe topic. On the contrary, we have a set of areas and issues that we shouldn't mention or we shouldn't start talking about. Can you tell me what do you think are taboo subjects, taboo topics in English-speaking cultures? Yeah, Marek, you said politics. Definitely, politics would be number one. And also religion. Yeah, you have fantastic guesses and very good intuition, so congratulations. Politics and religion are top subjects that you shouldn't discuss. Also money, we will see it in a second. You definitely shouldn't talk about sex and sexual orientation. And maybe not very obvious for us because we are rather homogenic society, but imagine American or British society which is very mixed. You shouldn't ask people where do they come from unless they don't say that themselves. And as somebody mentioned, money, finance, neither personal nor company finance, with one exception, which I'll show you in a second. Right, something which is totally different from what we are used to. In job adverts, you usually get a hint of salary range, and of course within this range you can negotiate the lower or upper amount depending on your skills, experience, or simply negotiation skills. Another way of expressing figures is the one which you can see now. This is job advertisement for account manager, and look at the package. The package says is $100, $100K. What do you think is the real amount? Definitely this manager doesn't get $100. It must be more. So what does this K stand for? Yeah, Mariusz, this is a very nice package. 1,000, exactly. So K stands for 1,000. This is a 100,000 package. So here in recruitment procedure, talking about money is kind of open process. As we know, words carries meaning, but body language sometimes carries more meaning, and we can make easily a little mistake which can ruin our intentions. Eye contact, a very important aspect of body language in Anglo-Saxon cultures. You should look into somebody's eyes because that's the sign that you're honest and what you're saying is honest and don't have bad intentions. Somebody who doesn't look into your eyes is considered to be strange or distrustful person. The personal distance between people is much bigger than here. It's about even 1 meter. So moving too close to a native speaker, tapping on his shoulder, touching his elbow is considered as the sign of bad manners and bad taste. And the handshake, we mentioned that before. Handshake should be firm, short, rather strong, showing the energy and showing that you're a strict person. Very often in business, an important part is done over food. So what are eating habits? Very roughly, we have a look at this. Definitely we can be asked out for a business breakfast or business lunch, and an important crucial part of the deal could be conducted just sitting over some nice food. The question is, who pays? Usually the person who invites is supposed to pay for the meal, although sometimes we can ask a question. If we know somebody quite well, we can ask a question, or we can say something like, let's go Dutch. This is the idiom. I tried to put all language bits in red so they are kind of outstanding from the rest of the presentation, which this time is more about behaviors than language itself, as you can see. So let's go Dutch. Well, maybe before I explain that to you, I will ask, has anybody come across this idiom? Do you know what is the meaning of that? Yeah, fantastic. Agnieszka, Sylwia, Jacek, you know this. Let's go Dutch means to share, yeah, Maria as well, share the bill. So you share the value of the bill and you just pay in even parts. Sometimes it's not a breakfast, it's not a lunch, but it's more relaxed evening meeting. In England, don't be surprised if your business partners ask you out in the evening for pub crawling, so visits to different pubs, but be careful because in England, doesn't matter what city and what part of the island, at 11 o'clock sharp, all pubs will be closed. This is, a public regulation. So 15 minutes before the pub is closed, you can hear the bell ding dong, and that means that this is the last chance, the last opportunity to order a drink, because it's called drinking up time, and then at 11 o'clock everyone has to leave the place. Being at the pub, at the bar, and we're all human, involves also using these facilities, toilets. As we said before, English-speaking culture is very indirect, so you're not supposed to ask where is the toilet, but you're supposed to say something in a more round way, and usually you're saying to your companions, okay guys, now I'm going to spend a penny, which is a very round way of saying I'm going to the toilet. Well, we're humans. If you're lucky, and not many people are so lucky, you can be invited to somebody's home, and this is, as you probably remember, this is a famous saying, my home is my castle. Especially Brits, they don't like inviting people home, so when you are invited, it's a kind of honor, privilege, and we have to know how to behave on such occasion. So definitely during the day, if the invitation, somewhere during the day, don't expect a substantial meal. You would probably receive a drink, maybe a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, some biscuits, maybe some sandwiches, but not a proper meal. But if you're invited to a dinner, definitely you will be served fantastic food, but there is a social custom that we should bring flowers, a box of chocolates, or a bottle of wine. A small suggestion, especially if there are women in the house, white wine is preferred than red one. It's also expected, and it shows our good manners and it shows the understanding of the culture, if we offer our help in preparing the whole thing. Yeah, so you can offer to lay the table, you can offer to help in the kitchen, or after the meal, cleaning, or even washing up the dishes. It will be definitely appreciated. A big difference between us and English-speaking countries is the way we approach humor. Some people say that we Poles are a little bit stiff, and especially that we don't have any distance to ourselves and we cannot make fun of ourselves. Well, to some extent I agree with this, but Brits and Americans, they tend to make jokes about everything, and Brits especially, there's nothing sacred for them, right? They make jokes about absolutely everything, and Monty Python, which, I mean, the group you saw a few slides away from here, is the best example. In British humor, understatement plays a very important role, and we will talk about it in a second. The way of overusing humor is connected with also social behavior. By using humor, Brits set positive atmosphere. They also create a group feeling, a kind of sense of togetherness, because we start laughing on the same subject. A typical trick which any American or British presenter would do at the beginning of his or her presentation is to make a joke about himself or herself, just, to shorten the distance between him and the audience. Okay, for example, like I said, to bridge differences, or to introduce risky ideas. If people don't know what would be the reaction to their ideas, they often start with telling a joke about it, and by the reaction they try to get a feeling if they can come up with this idea in a more serious way. Sometimes they also criticize in the humorous way. We'll see some examples later on, and we will look at understatement and two other powerful tools, sarcasm and irony. On the picture you can see Dr. House, so Hugh Laurie, a very spectacular situation when a British person plays a role, a part, a character of American doctor, but he's so British in what he does that nobody can confuse him for with American doctor. So sarcasm is the way in which you say not bad, and really you mean very good, yeah. Or if you say not bad at all, that can be really a high compliment paid by somebody who's British. Understatement in business. What does it mean if we use understatement? Understatement is saying things in polite, gentle, soft way, but with the intention of expressing the message, which is sometimes not very pleasant. So the typical way would be to wrap a negative message with a positive one. They tell you something nice at the beginning. For example, this is like your annual assessment. So first your boss is praising you, then there is this element of criticism, and then at the end, again, something positive. In indirect cultures and Anglo-Saxon cultures, the indirect one, they use special tools for that, which are called the downgraders. So words which soften the message. Here you've got them on the screen, kind of, sort of, a little, a bit, maybe, slightly. So the message is not conveyed in straightforward way, but it's kind of softened. Okay. Understatement, you can see that in these two sentences. Instead of saying that we're absolutely not up to the deadline, so this is nowhere close to complete, your boss would probably say, we are not quite there yet. The same message, different words. All right, so let's play a little game now about different meanings, so kind of understatement and how we non-native speakers should decipher this understatements. So imagine that somebody says with some kind of sarcastic smile, oh, it's very interesting. What do you think we understand? We Poles, we people from direct culture. What is our yeah, Michał, you're saying what the British mean, but let's concentrate on what we understand, okay? Yeah, so we think it's okay. We think, yeah, they are impressed, they like me, they like my ideas. But the British person can mean something different. For example, if he says that with a sarcastic smile, he definitely means something like, this is clearly nonsense. You see, there is some discrepancy between these two feelings. Okay, so a native speaker says, you must come for dinner. What is our understanding? What the foreigner understands? Somebody tells you, Eva, you must come for dinner. If I didn't know them, yeah, exactly. Agnieszka, you're right. We think that we are invited and we are happy, but we know them and we know they don't really mean it if there is no specific date and hour, because the British person means it's not an invitation. I'm just trying to be polite. All right? So this is understatement. This is saying things their way, very indirect way, and we, direct, naive people, we think they really mean it. Okay, the last example. With the greatest respect, I must tell you, this is what John Smith says, and what do we understand? Any ideas how we should read this opening? All right, well, we've got some suggestions. Yeah, we think this person is listening to me. We think this person likes my idea. We're kind of happy. And sorry, I used very extreme interpretation. Sometimes it can mean even you're an idiot. If you're watching disputes of our politicians on TV, I can see that sometimes they adopt this British way, yeah, and they're saying, oh, with the greatest respect, Mr. MP or Mr. President, and then they're going to say some critical comments. Okay. There's a list of some examples, and many more will follow in materials. Just, I wanted to show that to you because it illustrates this idea of contrast between indirect and direct cultures. Let's look very briefly, because time is flying, let's look very briefly at some hints for doing business in the UK. So, British communication styles, definitely indirect. They will never tell you what they really think. They are reserved, so don't expect shouting, jumping with joy, and other reactions which could happen in our office, for example. They are modest. They tend to downgrade their achievements. They use a lot of understatement, so they are softening negative information. They don't make definite statements, and the technique for that is using the words perhaps, could be, maybe, we can consider, so they are leaving the margin for different actions. Alright? On a business meeting with British people, you should be, as we said before, on time. Punctuality is the sign of respect. Even if you're going to be 5 minutes late, you should make a phone call. And expect that the meeting will always have very clearly defined aims, and that you will get an agenda of the meeting. They never get down to business immediately. Even 5 minutes of small talk will precede every business encounter. Because this is the nation of traders, they like to concentrate on facts and figures, not emotions, not feelings. And as I said before, remember, when you're saying important things, maintain eye contact and keep personal space. At the end of every meeting, there is a recap, but also expect that somebody who was the leader of the meeting will send you a summary, usually by email. What about business dress? Quite conservative. If you've ever been to London and you saw people working in the city, you probably saw that men were usually dark-colored business suits, and women business suit or conservative dress. Sorry, that was a minute for a sip of tea. And let's move on. All right, what we've got here, greetings. When you meet people, remember to shake hands with everyone when you arrive. Again, maintain eye contact, and then exchange business cards. In England, business cards are treated not so formally as, for example, in Asian countries and Asian cultures. So this is informal exchange, and very often the cards are put away without, deeper consideration. Business gifts. Do we accept giving and receiving business gifts? Can you please write me in the chat box what is considered to be a business gift in Poland? Yeah, people say that yes. Oh, somebody is even very precise, up to 200 zlotys. Okay, sometimes we have some company rules about that. But what kind of objects are acceptable? What can we offer to our business partners, which is considered to be polite? A pen, calendar, yeah, Michał, thank you. Well, Dariusz, good red wine, yes, especially, for example, for Christmas, yeah. Something with company logo. Right, if you're intending to give something to your business partner, usually it should be something small and tasteful, good quality. For example, some desk accessories, like, I don't know, if you use something like this, a paperweight with the logo of the company. It can be a book about Poland, about Kraków, Warsaw, or invitation for lunch. Okay, let's jump quickly on the other side of the ocean and see if there is any difference between business customs in these two cultures and countries. Definitely Americans are more direct than Brits. Understatement is not so much popular there. They like logical, linear thinking, so there's a lot of logic in their business thinking, no hidden agendas, and they speak clearly, and the manner is more straightforward. This is basically a very strong Protestant culture. Time is money, so there is no waste of time on something that we call beating around the bush. Of course, it's not the President Bush, but do you know this idiom? What does it mean? What do we mean if we say that we beat around the bush? Have you got any idea what kind of communication it is? Yeah, we've got a lot of answers. Agnieszka, Wanda, Ania, Maria, Michał, Jacek, Dariusz, Sylwia. Yeah, lots of answers. It means not to say things in a direct way. So beating around the bush is, you know, kind of trying to get a hidden agenda. In written communication, in emails, in texting, and also through Skype, there is very little formality, a lot of acronyms, emoticons. So if you're dealing with Americans, don't be afraid to use them. Like in England, you should be back on time. Yeah? And although these meetings may appear relaxed, they are taken quite seriously, and there is a big respect for business partners. Yeah, they're also quick. They don't tend to have as long meetings as here in Poland because time is money. Yeah. And here's a difference between them and Brits. They're getting down to business directly from the start. There is no time, no habit of small talk. And of course there is always a summary at the end which gives them a sense of achievement, some kind of consensus. The business dress. America is like melting pot, you know. So we have different cultures within one culture, but as far as business dress is concerned, there is a funny division between the East, so cities like New York, Washington, Boston, where people dress more formally, and the West Coast in California, you can find more relaxed dress codes. Casual Fridays came from America, and this is started to think there. And most companies from Silicon Valley, if you remember Steve Jobs, their dress code is very casual, and you know, you don't expect people to wear ties and suits. But for initial meeting, it's always safer to overdress and dress more formally. Okay, again, greetings, handshake, and they should have their value. Well, this is the third time I say that to you. They should be firm, brief, and confident. Right, and again, remember about eye contact. This is the password to your honesty. Okay, and business cards are exchanged, and you know, there is no ritual about it. So don't be offended, don't be surprised if an American person would even not look at your business card and put it in the back pocket of his trousers. This is not offensive. This is not a sign of lack of respect. That's the way it is. They're reading business cards later. And business entertaining, like in England, somebody who invites you usually pays. And there's one feature characteristic for Americans, that the business starts after everyone orders food. So when you place the order, you can start discussing business. They like to make toasts, and you should wait for the host, for the person who invited the rest of the company, to make a toast, for example, to our cooperation, to signing our contract, whatever you can think of, and then you should start drinking your drink. And spouses also can be invited to business dinners. But my question is, do you know who is a spouse? Who can be your spouse? What does it mean if I say, may I come with my spouse? Yeah, very good. A lot of you write down it's a wife or a husband. So even in a business context, we can invite our wives and husbands. All right, the world is now non-existing without mobiles, and there is some business etiquette about it. So a few hints. The mobile etiquette there is more strict than here in Poland. You are supposed to switch off your mobile not only during the business meeting, but also during meal times. So if you have a business lunch or business breakfast, you shouldn't use your mobile, and even you're supposed to have it either in your handbag if you're a woman, or in your pocket, because they say that out of sight, out of mind. If you use business phones, a piece of advice, avoid some fancy ringtones. Here I put like Gangnam Style, but really your phone is also a kind of brand and a symbol of the way you conduct business. So ringtones should be delicate, elegant, and, you know, not too fancy. And of course, always call back. If you miss a call, you're always supposed to call back the person you're ringing. Right, we've got just a few minutes for talking about false friends, and we have false friends. Hopefully this gentleman is one of them. It's not one of them, it's only a picture. But we also have false friends in the language. What do you think a false friend is? An English-Polish false friend is? Think about culture, think about language, think about the meaning of the word false, false friend, and two languages. A false friend, yeah, so these are words or expressions which exactly, Sylvia, very well, they look similar to Polish, yeah, word, but they mean something totally different. And here I will give you a few examples, more will follow in the materials, of most popular confused and overused or misused English-Polish false friends. Actually, do you know what is the real meaning of this word? Actually. Yeah, actually means in fact. So look at this example. Actually means really, in fact. So as you know, my name is Getz. Okay, I speak English now, but of course you know that I'm, what is my nationality? Can you guess? Yeah, I'm Polish. So, of course, if you're saying things like that, my name is Getz, but I'm Polish actually, it doesn't mean aktualnie jestem Polką, but it means I'm Polish, really. A billion. Again, a false friend. What number it is? Yeah, a billion is a number with 9 zeros. Exactly. So if we want to estimate the number of people in the world, how many people are there? Any guesses? Some people say 4, 6, 7. Yeah. Some people say 8 or even 9. Well, we don't know exactly, but definitely we know one thing, that there are over 7 billion people in the world. Okay? Chef. I can't tell you how many times in my life I heard my students saying, oh, my chef delegated something to me, or my chef told me. No, you don't work in the kitchen restaurant. You work, maybe you do, yeah, that's true. But generally I assume that you refer to your boss. Chef, exactly, is the main cook in the restaurant. So, for example, we have one of them, maybe you remember his full name. Gordon is one of the most popular British chefs. Yeah, Dobromir, very good. Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay is one of the most popular British chefs. Yes, so he's the boss, but only in the kitchen. Okay? One more. Eventually. Any ideas? What is the real meaning of this false friend? Yes, eventually means finally, in the end. So, we were waiting quite long for something, but eventually we got our lunch. What do you think we were waiting for? Anything? Anybody? Yeah, meal, service, waiter. Okay, one more, pension. This is a horrible false friend. Yes, pension is the amount of money which you get from the government after you retire, and every month we get salary, right? So, like in the example, the government has introduced a new pension scheme for people over, what is the age now in Poland? Yeah, that's a good guess. Right, so now currently it's 67. We don't know what's going to happen later on. And one more, receipt. What is a receipt? Receipt. It's not recipe. Please don't confuse it with the word recipe. Yeah, it's a small piece of paper which is proof of the transaction. Yes, we got it at the restaurant, at the shop. So somebody may ask us, do you need an for this transaction, or a receipt will be enough? So, do you need an invoice? Yes, so a full document or a small piece of paper will be enough. So receipt is not recepta, but it's a small piece of paper. Right, so all this was a very quick and very brief journey over the most important or most striking things which you should be careful about when you're dealing with these English-speaking cultures, and we wish you success in dealing with these cultures. But of course there are many more topics which we didn't have time to cover today. Relationship between men and women, some marketing mistakes. Maybe that would be a good idea for another webinar, but that would follow later on. Yeah, somebody said, Małgorzata, very good, the word pilot. Yeah. So a pilot is only a man in a plane, but we shouldn't say that for a little device which controls our electronic equipment. We call it remote. So don't say where is the pilot, because then you're suggesting there is somebody at home. Right, and that's really all for today. As usually, we're encouraging you to ask questions, and I'm passing on our headphones to Anya, who's got some announcements.